We're here to talk through this Thermo-Sudoku from John Bulten. This is a puzzle which tested harder than I expected, but then Thermo-Sudoku is a style I probably do rather well at. This is a really good example of using multiple thermometers in the same regions to control very large or very small digits. And so even at the start, separate from looking at the numbers we have and saying things like, well, a 1 is in this top row, I'd just like to sort of conceptually look at things like, say, this middle square. In the middle square, we have the starts of thermometers and the continuations of thermometers, but no ends of thermometers, and that's a pretty typical rule to say that a 9 can't be anywhere. But up here, and even having placed the 9, we should still be thinking, where can the 8 go? It's not in this column. If it's in the cell, we can't extend far enough. It has to be only in the cell, and that gets us going. You can now next ask, where can the 7 be? If the 7's here, it can't extend further. If the 7's here, it can't extend further, so the 7 is again trapped. And so just from the start, just based on the shape of the grid in this one digit here, we can get a fair amount of progress. Another cell, let's just go over to the square over here. This has the ends of thermometers, and the smallest digit that could be in any of these cells is a 4. The 4 is already here, so these are actually 5 plus, 5 plus. What you'll see is that 1, 2, 3, and 4 naturally on the side have to be outside of the thermometer shapes, and at the very start of the puzzle we can write these. Over here, we know that the 3 is going to have to be outside of the thermometer shapes. But this can be 4 plus, this can be 4 plus. We don't yet know if the 4 is down here or up here, but we can make that kind of progress pretty early. From what we've now done in these outer regions, we can know that the two numbers in this space are 2 and 3. We need to have a digit which is smaller than 2 or 3 up here, so we actually can see that the 1 goes in that cell. That puts the 1 down here. If we again think about where can the small digits go in this bottom square, we have 3, 5, 6, and 7. The 3 can't actually be any of these things except here. That actually does a nice thing like forcing this. We then get to a situation where we still have some numbers to place. I'm going to mark just these in as 5, 6, and 6, 7. But we've got a lot done, and we've not looked at the top at all. And this is where even, again, still at the very start of the puzzle, we don't have to know any of the stuff in the bottom to make some headway up top. And that's because in each of these cases, we have some fairly long thermometers that fully use 2 of the columns in these top groups. And so there's one constraint which is true on both sides. That constraint is that an 8 can't sit in any of these thermometers, and a 9 can't sit in any of these thermometers. So 8 and 9 have to be in this first column over here, and 8 and 9 have to be in the last column over here. And the second constraint, which is what drives the solve of the puzzle, is to recognize that only one of these thermometers can have a 1 in the start of it, and once we actually know that the 1 is in these 2 cells based on this given clue, put a 1 over here, we now know that all the remaining digits 2 through 7 sit in these thermometer shapes. And the 2 is pretty easy to see is in the starting bulb in one of these positions, but the low end is not what's interesting, the high end is what's interesting. If a 7 were here, 8, 9 can't sort of finish, we get a situation where you have to have this. What we'll see is we actually now have the remaining set of digits for this thermometer. This has to connect back. It can be as small as 4, 3, 2. 2 is the smallest digit that can start a thing, so 2, 3, 4 is here. 5 and 6 is here. We're getting very fast headway into this puzzle. The follow-up is basically looking at the 7, and over here we said that the 7 had to be near this third row, so at 8 and 9 worked. Now that a 7 could be potentially just in these higher cells, you end up finding the 7 also now has to be outside of the thermometer region, and so as a result we can start to do some pretty quick pickoffs. A 2 has to be up here based on the digits we already have solved for. A 2 sits there, which actually forces the 1 here. We get that a 4 sits up in this position. We do need to place a 3, but let me actually do some more things like this. We have a 9 in one of these cells. The 5 sits in one of these. This is 5 and 8. It doesn't actually give us too much right away, but it's always helpful to map some of these. We are going to place, let's actually just do some Sudoku type steps in the center here. This is seeing the ones are there, force the remaining set. Still in the center, we have 5, 6, 7, 8. The 8 is up top. That actually leaves a straight column of digits here. The 5 forces a 4, forces a 6. So a 4 is coming into this space. We already saw it has to be over here. So once we have this 4, 7, it forces this 8, 5. The 3 is here. This now becomes another straight group of 5, 6, 4, 5, 6 to finish it out. 8 here means 8 here means 8 here. 9 here means 9 here. Of course, this 7. 7s are limited there. Got just one digit here. The 3 has to be above a 5. The remaining digit is a 9 and a 6. So we've done the top rather well. Down here we have 6 and 9, and we can't, actually we have that 9. We'll force this. Now again, it's just going to be Sudoku at the bottom. So 6, 7, 8 in this column. That's 6. So 7, 8, 7, 8. 1, 3, 9 in this column. That's 9 with 1 and 3. 2, 5, 4. Right now we don't have enough to force that, but these digits are going to come over here. 9 is the only one. We get 1 with 8. 1 with 8 does this. 4 and 2 left over. 4, 2, 2, 4, 5 pushing down. The remaining 5. The 6, the 7, 7, and 8. And we finish this grid. And so this tested really hard compared to my expectations, but a lot of it is that this isn't about Sudoku thinking so much as the thermo thinking and ways we saw at the start to just consider this square shape, even this box shape, and how it's limited with the 4 and 1 clue, gives it stuff in this box shape, and then obviously these columns have a lot of constraints, and it's pretty neat in the puzzle solve how you see it, you end up with these straight consecutive runs, at least up to this point, based on just how minimally constrained the potential digits are up here, particularly given the 189 and 789 triples that you can identify at the start. So this is a fun puzzle from John. We'll have some more fun Sudoku coming later this year, and we'll see you again soon.